Okay, we're starting.
We're rolling down this highway, engines roaring like indigenous women rising, drums, allies, daughters, sons, not waiting for the experts, not waiting for permission. We're figuring it out together, riding for our mission. Our backs are more than metal, more than wheels and chrome. They carry all our voices and bring sisters home. For everyone missing, for every stolen name, we ride to break the silence and end the shame. We are the medicine wheel, ride thunder, rolling full of pride. For every woman finding a voice and every survivor making a choice and breaking the silence, ending violence, healing through our resilience. We are not just a road beneath our wheels. We're the medicine that heals. We're not politicians or experts paid to speak on behalf of others. We're just women on motorcycles who refuse to live in fear. Grounded in grassroots, culturally driven, riding for the living and remembering the dead. From Alaska to Hawaii, across these native lands, we gather our strength and stand. FMMMIW, our awareness is our battle cry. For our missing relatives, we ride and unify. We are the medicine wheel, ride thunder, rolling with pride. For every woman finding a voice, for every survivor making a choice, breaking the silence, ending violence, healing through our resilience. We're not just the road beneath our wheels. We're the medicine that heals. Turning pain into power, trauma into truth, creating space for healing, honoring our youth. The medicine wheel guides us, restoring balance, east, west, north, and south. We're so much more. Cathartic and powerful, tears and strength combined. Years of suppressed emotions, but now we will not hide. The visual awareness, so many lives we see, touched by this injustice, our right to be free. We are the medicine wheel, ride thunder, rolling with pride. For every woman finding a voice, for every survivor making a choice, breaking silence, ending violence, healing through our resilience. Not just a road beneath our wheels. Every ride forever, we ride for what is right. Empowerment and freedom, bringing dark
Live on the air, it's Trial Junkies United with your host, Azie.
Hey, greetings to all the trial junkies, the truth seekers, and justice warriors. I'm Azie, your storyteller in the wilderness of injustice, my ride or die doc, riding shotgun, as we navigate the darkness where the predators hunt and the system fails. Doc, are you ready tonight? We have guests.
Yeah, I'm always ready.
Oh, I love my comic relief. We're ready to shine a light on the forgotten stories that society would rather leave buried, so buckle up. The path ahead can get bumpy sometimes, but it's just another section of our nightmare they call our justice system. But today we're actually celebrating the warriors who refuse to let the stories stay buried, the women who are writing for change, for justice, and for every voice that's been silenced. Today we have two phenomenal guests joining us, women who are leading a grassroots movement that's impossible to ignore. Let me introduce you to Lorna, Cuny, aka Whip, executive director and co-founder of Medicine Wheel Ride. Lorna is a member of the Ogallala Lakota Sioux tribe from South Dakota. And so this is also her co-founder, Luvy Yonnie, who's the first lady, known as the first lady, staff carrier and board member, secretary and co-founder of the Medicine Wheel Ride. Luvy lives in Arizona and is Dene from the Navajo Nation. So first of all, I would just love to know how you guys got started.
Well, it's a long story. How long is the podcast?
Everybody pull up a chair.
Yes, pull up a chair. We have no problem with that.
Yeah, I think for us, when we started back in 2019, and we were just women writers who were looking for community, and came together. Initially, started as just writing together. And I think throughout those conversations in the beginning when we started, there was a lot of conversations like why we ride, what brought us to riding motorcycles. And a lot of it, within our group, a lot of women came because either they left in domestic violence situations, or there was just a lot of reasons that came up why women, we as women decided to become, motorcyclists. And, that kind of started the conversation. And then I think further on, it kind of went into, how can we be more active as a group of women in our communities? I think we were coming up on that May 5th date. And so we started talking about, organizing rides either in our local communities or either, on a larger scale. And one of the riders, had an idea of doing a medicine wheel. And so we kind of just, started really discussing that, like, how can we do this? How can we make it happen? And in 2019, with less than a month or 2 months, we decided to embark on this huge ride across the United States in the shape of a medicine wheel, starting in Canada, coming all the way down. And, we had these Canadians who reached out, didn't know who we were. We didn't know who they were. They just said, hey, we want, we heard about what you guys were doing. We want to ride the outer rim of the United States, which was about 13,000 miles. And I think together, there was only like 7 of us, that first year. And we just decided to do this ride with very little planning. We didn't know how we were going to do this or what we were going to do, with this. And we decided to meet in Topeka, Kansas, which we felt was kind of the center of the United States. And we all came in from the 4 directions with the Canadians riding the outer rim of the United States. And I came in from the north, Luvy came in from the south with some other riders, and Lisa came in from the west, and we had Jill come in from the east. Awesome. And we all met in Topeka, Kansas. But before we left our local communities, we reached out to some of the grassroots organizations in our local communities. and said, this is what we're trying to do. We're putting this together. And so for me, thankfully, I was really happy that we were able to network with some of the grassroots organizations, and they helped me get together medicine bundles. We each had medicine bundles for each one of our locations, but they helped us get the names together to carry in those bundles. And I carried all the names of our missing from the north in this medicine bundle, and each one of us carried those bundles, and we met
truly
into
amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That really is
And
cool.
so, did I forget anything?
No. I think that, it's a community effort, sister riding groups effort. There was also Mama Bear with her group, her ride, her organization that was putting up a ride in Topeka, Kansas. And she really also took us under her wings to help us complete this. She invited us. She, wanted to help where she can. And she also was a part of, encouraging us and to get this done. And so we didn't know if we were able to get it done, or to even didn't think where it was going to take us, or how, where, or anything. And here we are. We're still going strong.
Mm-hmm.
And that's amazing.
Yeah.
Reaching out to each other and helping. And that's what it's about, is everybody making a community and boosting each other.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's awesome.
It really was, because like in the talks prior to us doing the ride, there was a lot of, people sharing, because we're coming up on that May 5th, which is the National Day of Awareness, and, talking about, why they got to riding, but also sharing stories about how MMIP has affected us personally, because I know for me, I've been personally affected. Luvy's been, personally affected. And so many of our Indigenous communities are all affected by this.
Right.
And, I think one of our riders, her daughter was murdered, and that was kind of the initial piece of that. And, at that time, there was another young woman, or a child, who was missing down in New Mexico, in Utah. And I think in Sioux Falls, there was a lady there who, her story was shared as well. So there was just so many stories, from just having these conversations together and just kind of trying to figure out, like, what can we do? How can we make an impact, and really bring awareness to this issue? And so that's why we did that big ride that first year. And it was really quickly planned. And so that's how we started, in 2019. And then I think the year after we did that initial ride, we decided to do a ride here at Sturgis, which is my local community, because I'm from here. Right now, Luvy is here in Rapid City with me. And we decided to do a ride at Sturgis, which is the largest motorcycle rally in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And, trafficking is an issue at that rally. And, we know that, because we come from vulnerable communities, wanted to really bring light to this issue at that rally. And, to also kind of be a voice for, our Indigenous communities at such a large rally. So we, planned that first year ride. I mean, first year, didn't know what we were doing. I think we're slinging T-shirts out the back of my pickup truck, and, trying to raise funds to help families. And it was very chaotic that first year, but we put it together, and, the funds that we are able to raise, we've been able to help families with search efforts, with billboards, with rewards, whatever way that we can help. That's just kind of been our whole goal, is to, just really show up for the families, because a lot of them, don't get the visibility they deserve when their loved one goes missing, and don't get to be heard. And, I guess for me, whenever I started in this, I never thought that doing something that I love, which is riding my motorcycle, can bring so much attention to this issue. And so, whenever I think when I first started riding motorcycle, I never thought that this is where we would be 6 years later.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then, yeah, do you have anything to add about that?
No, I think, each year we continue to grow. And, but still, as much as we try to spread awareness out there, we do what we can. And still, yet you still hear people say, oh, I was unaware of that. I didn't know about that. So now in
I know.
return, it's like, well, now you know. So now we all need to help each other, to stand by each other's side and encourage. And the families are the ones that are hurting. The families are the ones that need
Sure.
us. It might just be a shoulder for them to lean on and just to listen to their story. Sometimes that's all they need.
Right.
And in return, we try to help out where we can. If we, the funds that are coming in, we pay back into the communities with, it might be searches, it might be putting up billboards on the side, or t-shirts, family that can't get t-shirts, or, anything to help them expose and get their loved ones' information out, we try in return, try to help families out in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's
that's
really kind
great.
of, yeah. And I think, I really want to bring up one of the cases I feel like, that we've really been involved in from the very beginning. And this family came out and met Luvy whenever they were coming up for the rally. It was the first year.
The first year. Mhm.
And they came out, their daughter and niece and mother was, she was missing for what, 2 years? 3 years. And they came out to the side of the road and met Luvy and them on their way up here, and just really needed help bringing more attention to
Mhm.
Her name was Jamie Azie, bringing attention to Jamie Azie's case. And so I think from there we've really tried to support them in any way that we could. I think the first year we bought some t-shirts to do an awareness event.
Because they were trying to get t-shirts, and they were basically being told, well, you don't have permission to put the individual's picture on a shirt. We need to, get some type of, well, she's not here. And so that's why we're trying to spread our awareness. So they were being backed up into a corner. And that's when Medicine Wheel Ride came in and helped them get the t-shirts that they were asking for. And that's how we started working with the family at that time.
Oh,
So,
that is
and then
amazing.
Who was pushing back that you couldn't that they couldn't put a picture?
I think it was whoever they were going to get the pictures, t-shirt printed out to them.
Oh, okay.
And
A vendor then. Okay.
yeah. Uh-huh.
A bad
And then
vendor.
through that,
Yeah.
yeah, and we were able to, I think that first year, then we just, I think through networking and getting to know all of these different women, we met Darlene Gomez, who does a lot of pro bono work for MMIP families. And so that was, I think, one of her first cases that she
Yes.
took on was Jamie Azie's case, and, represented the family. We paid for a billboard that first year out in Pinion.
Out in, it was outside of Winslow off of I-40, which is a border town within Navajo Reservation.
Right.
Well, anytime you guys do a billboard, if you send us a picture, we will make sure we put it up at the end of our streams. We'll be glad to do that, because it's important that we get these stories told. They can't be forgotten. They need to, some families have to come out and tell the story. Some families are more shy. They don't want to, and that's fine too. Whatever we can do to help. I mean, that's what our community that we've set up, has been about. But
That's
Lovey,
great. Yeah.
I was going to ask you, I know that you have a background in social work, right?
Yes.
So you've had to see some of the horrendous things that are happening with the young indigenous and native children that aren't getting taken care of the way they should. Where do you think we can find some answers to helping this situation that we're seeing done?
I think for me, when I was doing, when I worked for the Indian Child Welfare Act for the state of Arizona, and which was, it's off the reservation and it was for the state. And so a lot of it is doing the communications between the tribes and also working with the social workers straight across the board with all the federally recognized tribes. And I think that some of the times, I seen a lot of children go through, all these traumas that have been affected them, and I remember there was a case, where a mom was supposed to show up for court and she never did. And the mom, the grandma knew something was up, something was wrong, but she didn't know what it was. And um, I believe it was like a month later was when her body was found in a suitcase on the reservation outside of Phoenix.
Wow.
And so to this day, the family never got answer, but they were able to get her remains back and be able to give her the proper burial. But it was just that the unknown of what really happened to her. They never got answers.
Hmm.
And so, and these children were, her children were going through the system where the grandma was able to get custody of the grandchildren, So, but yeah, just seeing things like that, it's really heartbreaking. And I think it's good to see if we continue to push to work with the tribes from all straight across the board, across the United States. That's who I was working with, was the federally recognized tribes.
I know we did an episode, and and we did it on the reservation. I call them prisons. They weren't schools; they were prisons. Um, and I remember one of the little girls in one of the comments she made from the Pima tribe. She said until she had got put in one of those, she didn't know there were other tribes. And her comment was, "They thought they were going to get rid of us, but actually they brought us together with other tribes." So she said, "When we could, we would teach the little kids the songs, we would teach them the dances when we could get some private time." So,
Mhm.
and I think that's it. The tribes need, like you said, work together, and
Mhm.
I think that's important because if you reach out and someone has success in one area and they can share it, like we were
Mhm.
talking about Cola Shippentower and her program that she has of doing her checklist before someone disappears, making sure a family has uh, all the codes to the cell phone, the laptop, the iPad, so that they don't have to
Mhm.
wait. Because I know the case that we're dealing with in Fort Worth, the mother offered all of those things. They were in her name to the police, and they said, "Well, we don't need to look at them. We don't have a warrant." She's like, "I'm giving them to you." They would not go through the detail. They wouldn't do it,
Mhm.
so, and
Even though all those devices were in her name, not the child's name.
yeah.
Mhm.
So
So it's like we try and share what we learn from each person with different people that we've talked to, with different advocates. What's working in your area? Well, could it work, over here?
Mhm.
And because I know, Lorna, I talked with you and you talked about how in your community they actually do a thing with the children, that is it the sheriff's office or something, where they fingerprint the kids is it once a year that was it you I was talking to?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was talking about they have like a kids fair here once a year through Youth and Family Services, and you can
Yeah.
take your child in there and do the DNA swabs. They do the impressions of the teeth that you can
hmm,
freeze and put in your freezer, and fingerprints.
okay.
Yeah.
And
And
I
see,
used to take
that's
my daughter every year with them.
and that's awesome,
Mhm.
and that's something, I need to we need to share with Cola, see what, if her organization that she's working with, are they pass these things on, keep telling the stories, because the goal is to protect the women, the men, and the children. It's because
Mhm.
unfortunately they're the victims of most of the crimes. And it's
Mhm.
not right that everyone wants to turn around and say, well, I don't know anything about it. If we
Mhm.
allow history to if we don't look at history and what's happened, it keeps happening.
Well,
Mhm.
you think about those children that you just told that story about. It is just it's kind of heartbreaking because
They were
um
waiting for their
in
mama.
in one breath they were waiting for their mama, and the other breath they don't have their mother anymore, and they get you know um they're being taken care of, thank goodness, by their grandmother. But think about what could have happened to them. It's just
Mhm.
without having their grandmother there, who knows what would
Mhm.
have happened.
Yeah, it could
Yeah.
have been so much worse.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Let's see. Someone asked, are there organizations that you know of or the ladies know of that are on the East Coast? I don't know of any yet. I need to reach out to some of the tribes on the East Coast. Do you know of any tribe? Because I know Virginia or Fala's out on the East Coast. So I think she's wanting to
Mhm.
see what organizations she could also get involved in, maybe locally.
I know that one lady, I cannot remember what her name is. I'd have to, Laura, do you remember her? She always sells our patches
Mhm.
at her events.
Well,
She's over there on the East Coast, but I don't know of any direct like organizations
okay.
that, I guess kind of do like, either what we do or, um, and I know we've wanted to make a more of an, we wanted to make more of an effort to go east. So, because that's what we
Mhm.
kind of do with our rides every year. Like this year we started in Seattle and we stopped in 6 separate communities on our way here to Sturgis before our big event. And that's kind of like the goal of us starting in a location somewhere, is to kind of connect, these
Right.
communities together and find out what resources are there for families, and so we really rely, on the local community. And, we invite families there to come and be a part of the event. And,
Mhm.
and a lot of times some of them are learning what's there in their communities and they weren't really aware of, everything that was there.
That
Because
was
there are a lot
available.
of, yeah,
Mhm.
there's a lot of grassroots organizations.
Mhm.
Um, but um, sometimes we just, people just don't know what everybody's doing. And I think for us, what we're trying to do is really connect each of those organizations and figure out how can we work together? How can we,
Mhm.
combine our resources and be more effective in our communities? And I think by doing that, we've had, um, success. Like, we had a woman who went from Blackfeet who went missing over in California. And we had already built up connections there. And so I was able to contact my connections in the
Great.
LA area. And they were able to, we worked with 2 organizations from the Snowbird Fund to Blackfeet MMIP. And, we were able to get this woman back home together by combining our resources and, get her back home. And then, so just like that, and we've had several cases. Um, we had another one from the Blackfeet again, with a young man who went to one of those fraudulent treatment centers, down in Arizona. And, the family hadn't heard from him for a long period of time. And through the connections that we had down there, we were able to get boots on the ground looking for him. And we were able to connect with him the very first day that we got down there.
That is
And
awesome.
so,
Nice.
I
And
know
there's
I
that
would.
one,
oh, which one?
the young girl.
Oh, yes. And so, yeah, and we had a young woman from here, from my local community, um, who was possibly in a traffic situation down in Texas. And we had, met some people when we did an event down in Austin, and we're able to use those connections to get her
Right.
somebody there on the ground that could help her and get her home.
Right. And I know I want to try and find a connection in North Carolina, because I know we
Mhm.
have. I Last week we had a missing poster of a young girl, but before that we had another Native girl that she actually did get kidnapped, and I'm still trying to track this case down. I'm just going to have to start calling some of the police to find out. She was 12. They found her with a trucker, and it was terrible. And so
Mhm.
far, I can't find anything on this case. So I'm gonna see if someone, they were able to rescue her, but it's like, why am I not seeing this guy getting thrown in jail? I mean, because this was horrendous. And it was also from North Carolina. So I'm gonna try and reach out in that direction.
Well, in that avenue, Fala here in our chat has made a very, very good point about social media allows us to help, and we can never underestimate the power of social media, because if we can find people in organizations that otherwise we wouldn't find
Yeah.
if we didn't have that availability. So it's especially if the East Coast is a little bit more of a direction that you guys want to get to, we can certainly put out feelers in our
Yeah.
community to see if there are some organizations that you guys might want to partner up with. I don't know. So
Yeah, because I'm thinking of one that I know definitely down in Florida. I'm gonna get a hold of her, because she might be able to give us some connections in Florida, and maybe from there we can build on up the East Coast. Um, and I'll make sure Lauren and I get with you about it, and let you know who I've made contact with, because we're
Yeah.
trying to also build community to help in this issue.
Mhm.
Yeah, and and I think Laura might be in North Carolina, and I'm pretty sure she would know what
Okay.
organizations are in her community. And so I'll give you her information as well to
okay.
get in
Okay. Yeah.
contact with her.
Yeah. Just
Just
DM
can't
me
think of
when
her
you
last name.
Yeah, when you find it, just DM me and let me know, and I'll work with it and see what we can come up with. I also wanted to share, like the slide. You guys do different things. Like, you have an event coming up on the 13th, across the
Mhm.
res, where you're doing for the fentanyl awareness, because sadly that is so deadly and dangerous right now. And sadly, some young people just don't realize that they're.
You mean that just happened, baby?
Oh, did
Yeah, that was
It's
one of
September
our events.
13th.
Oh, September, I thought it was October, I'm
No.
sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was September 13th. That wasn't one of our events. It was, I shared it because it was from, on our ride that we came through the Fort Pack, Indian Reservation,
Mm-hmm.
and met riders there. And this was an event put on by those riders in Fort Pack.
What events do you have coming up?
Right now, we don't really, we have an event that we're doing in Maui on October
22nd.
22nd. We've been invited by the local community there to do a viewing of our film We Ride for Her. We have a short documentary, 18-minute documentary that we did, and it's kind of based here in Rapid City on Susan Chief Eagle's case, and her family was involved in that as well with that documentary. And so we're going out there to show that and just kind of do community events that we've done before. We've done community events, all over, outside of, our riding, when we're, I guess, not riding or off riding season, I guess.
Yeah, up north, you definitely are. Maybe
Yeah.
down south, they
Yeah.
can still get away with it, but, Levy could probably still do a little riding, but up
Yeah,
north,
she can. She was like, it was 90 degrees when I left today.
Yeah, I'm in
because she's in
Texas.
Rapid Spirit.
I'm in Texas, so
Yeah.
yeah, it's still warm
Yeah.
here. We
So
don't we
so
don't know what fall
Krusty,
is.
Krusty, was that a question for our guests?
Oh,
I'm
the
only
event.
assuming so.
Oh, he was wanting to know if the event in Austin was that the SXSW for the showing of your documentary. And you went,
Yes.
yeah, yes, yes, Krusty.
Okay.
Krusty's the one that who kept telling me you gotta talk to these girls. He's with Mission Motorcycle for veterans.
Uh-huh.
And so he knows some of the people. He's ridden with some of you guys. So um, I've been trying to get into contact, and then I finally got a hold of Lorna, and it was
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, we did our premiere last year in March at the South by Southwest Film Festival and premiered the film We Ride for Her
Where
there.
is it
So
going to
that
be for
was
the public to see?
you can actually watch it on the Water Bear Network. It's,
Water Bear?
free.
Okay.
Yeah, Water Bear Network. And you just register, on that network site and you're able to search for We Ride for Her and you'll find the short documentary there.
Okay.
Okay, everyone. Water Bear Network. You register, it's free, and it's We Ride for Her.
Mm-hmm.
So I expect to see some of you guys doing that. I will be doing it later tonight. This is a group,
Yeah.
good group that. So another question I have is, okay, you've mentioned that you helped get T-shirts, you've helped flyers, billboards, and those are very important because if the family doesn't have the funds, so how can people help you get the money to do this?
You can go to our website. We have a donate button on www.medicinewillride.org. There is a donate button there that you can donate to. And, we also, we've paid for funeral expenses,
Legal.
and legal fees. We've paid for families to attend trials and hearings.
Sometimes the family might not have the proper clothing, like for instance, again, Jamie Azie, they had to go to trial and they had to wear certain attire, and a lot of these families really can't afford these suit and things that they have to wear to these trials. So we're able to jump in and help out with certain things, and even hotels, was on the family's expense. And so there was a couple of us and another sister writer where we were able to cook meals and take to the family where they were there week at a time, waiting for the trial to start and to end. And so just giving that family support in that way. These are just a few things that Medicine Will Ride, try their best to help out the families where we can.
Because a lot of these families, they had to, this family was from the Navajo reservation, and they actually had, could have done the court hearings in a place that was much near, closer to where they lived, but for some reason they made it all the way in Phoenix, and that was like how many hours for them to drive?
It's about 4 or 5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a lot when you're going through a trial.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so it's very expensive, and a lot of the times, I think through victim services, they do help the families, but they only help the immediate family, and that's it. And we know, as Indigenous families, we have big families, and in this case, with Jamie, she had, she has a very large family, and they really wanted to be there because they had been waiting for justice for, a lot of years. So it was important for them to be there.
I don't think a lot of people realize that a lot of the Native and indigenous community, family means something different. It can mean your tribe, everybody is an auntie, someone to look up to. And so, and sometimes the family needs that other support. from the
Mhm.
others. It's not that they don't want just the immediate family. It's just they need support of other people that aren't going through the trauma as deeply as them, so that they have someone to lean on.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I think for me, I brought up, that case with Jamie because it was, one of the first families that came to us for help. And one of them, I really felt like, we supported the family from the very beginning and
Mhm.
right up until her killer was, convicted. And it's
Right.
been, what, a year, I think, just like what, last week, where he was convicted last year.
Yeah, a year anniversary where he was sentenced.
Mm-hmm.
One of my mods says, Fala says, Lorna and Luvy, you are truly amazing people and are doing incredible work.
Oh,
So
thank you.
you're very appreciated in this community. Um, I love how you guys explain we're not experts, but we're figuring it out as we go. And it's the grassroots
Mhm.
movement. And sometimes that's what we have to do to get things moving, because sadly the people that are the authorities or the experts don't have an interest. And that really is
Mhm.
discouraging.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's not
Yeah,
only
and and I really
it's not only discouraging, it's kind of criminal the way you look at it. I mean,
Yeah.
they're not.
Mhm.
I mean, all we're asking them to do is their job. It's just
Mhm.
some of them can't even be bothered to do that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And let's see, we have people. Rev says you guys are very inspirational. Lazy River, we love you. Keep pushing, keep fighting, don't give up. So you're getting a lot of support here, and they will take it into their own communities.
Mhm.
Stolen Spirits, MMIWG, uh, is here and said, Lorna and Luvy, much respect. Thank you for what you do. So just wanted to make sure you
Mhm.
guys are getting some of the comments that are out there, um,
Mhm.
because it's important that we speak for these people, for the families and the victims, because so
Mhm.
many of the victims, sadly, they get misidentified. They don't get the
Mhm.
race right. Um,
Mhm.
they just, they're ignored. I know I've kind of I've kind of been pushing for on the missing posters. If we know the tribe affiliation, please put it, because I think it's
Mhm.
important for them to have their identity, you know,
Mhm.
um, because just putting Native American or Indigenous or Alaskan, which if you're an Alaskan Native, yes, but if you're not, that it just seems like it's a catch-all, and it shouldn't be. People
Mhm.
deserve their identities. So I know some of
Mhm.
us are really, yeah, stolen spirits. Yes, you guys do. When you have the tribe affiliation, you do put it on there, but some don't. And I know
Mhm.
some kind of are like, well, why do we need to? And it's like, well, don't you want to be identified by whatever your heritage is? Same here.
Mhm.
And I think that also that one of the support that will also show, in remembrance of a loved one that's missing is if family members feel up to it, they can write their loved one's name on a red ribbon. And when we do our rides, we tie these ribbons to our bike. And some of them fly off as we travel along. And we say that's a sign of them being released and being free, saying that they're okay, and that at the end of our rides, we bring it all back together and close it all up with prayer and basically just kind of just giving it back to our Mother Earth, and but within our hearts we continue to carry those names, and sometimes just even as a family member just to do that, just to write their loved one on a red ribbon, that's a big relief to them, to make him feel like somebody is listening, somebody knows the pain, somebody knows the hurt, so that's one of the other things that we do too as we go do our rides. And to me, is like as we go through these different communities, we're setting foundations for them. Some of them are asking us to come back and do maybe another ride with them within their communities. And so we're setting these foundations for them, and hopefully there it continues to grow, and they can carry it on from there.
That's beautifully well
Mhm.
put. I
Mhm.
like that because I think that's amazing because I think it also gives the younger ones hope that there are people
Mhm.
from different tribes that do care and will listen to what's happened to
Mhm.
them if they've lost a loved one. And maybe it
Mhm.
gives them a goal of, well, what can I do now in my community, as I grow up,
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
that's what the whole
Yeah.
thing is, to continue it.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I think with us as an organization, we really are, we had this year, we had 3 youth ride with us this year. And they led us on our ride. They rode in the front. Of course, they didn't ride their own motorcycles, but they rode with some of our other riders and they led
Mhm.
us, and I feel like for us, it's really important. And I think, especially after this year, really recognizing, how we need to involve our youth in this movement. And so with Medicine Will Ride, we're really talking about, looking more towards prevention, like what can we do more, as far as like educating our youth, you
Right.
know, in prevention, and we're still at the starting phase of this, this youth group, but we really want to follow their lead on this,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
things, the way that our younger generation, do it now are so different from how we did it in our day, and we really want them to take lead with this and, do more awareness events, maybe I don't, these are just kind of like things we've talked about possible, like having them head up like, our TikTok and doing like, short reels or short videos talking about prevention and what they can do to keep themselves safe,
Well, that's a
and just
great
kind of
idea.
things. Yeah.
Mhm.
And, kind of like, talking about, how our youth are vulnerable. I think about me, growing up on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. I feel like I was very naive, to the outside world and
Right.
I think that, I grew up in a very small world, in a very small town and really, I really wasn't aware a lot of the dangers outside of that. And I think our youth right now, the 3 that we had ride with us, they were really excited,
Mhm. Yeah.
about this. So there are, our youth rider, medicine will ride riders,
They even brought forth some of their ideas of what they talked about
Mhm.
as they were grouping together too.
Mhm.
And so it was like, I think it's a great idea, and they get to see, what the different communities that we go through and the messages that they hear, and meeting families. It's a really impact on them, and where they're able to also go back and share with other youth. And so it's possible, and I think that it's going to grow pretty good.
Mhm.
So
Oh, I think
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
It,
great idea.
it's kind
Yeah.
of a known fact that you get your younger ones involved because that's where the fresh ideas are going to come from. I mean,
Mhm.
that's the
Well,
way
they
that's the way the world works, I guess.
well, they know technology better than some
Oh
of
my
us.
goodness.
Yeah, they do. They really do.
And
And
sadly, that's how predators hunt now, is with
Yes.
technology. So you need
Yes.
those
Mhm.
young ones, that
Yeah.
To
know the
know that
technology.
know the technology and know how to get around that, and they need to
Yeah.
be educated as to what can happen as well. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Yeah, and
that's
it was just really amazing to be led by our youth, on
Mhm.
our ride, and just having them along, I really feel like with Medicine Ride, we're really, building community with each other. I mean, we have riders that come down from Canada that ride with us,
Mhm.
who come from all over the United States to ride with us. And it's just a really amazing group of people that we have with us. I really want to acknowledge all of our riders that, you know, um, take this time because it's usually probably about anywhere from a 2 to 3 week ride that we do prior, to getting here to the rally. It's, and a lot of these riders travel thousands of miles to meet us at whatever starting point that we're going to. And they're just, amazing individuals who really believe in this work and believe in supporting, our communities and supporting the families, and we always say families first, and this is why we're out here. This is why we're riding for them.
And then not only that, like some other communities or some other group also, when they do their rides, they invite us over, to ride with them, or they might ask us for certain ideas or just for support, So all of the medicine wheel riders might not be able to go, but a few of us are able to go to the certain ride and support that. And so we try our best to show up where we can.
That's awesome. Fallow would like to know what kind of motorcycles you guys are riding.
I ride a street glide.
Okay.
I have a Dyna Switchback, 2012 Dyna Switchback.
There you go, Falla. I got your question in.
Yeah, and I really, this lady right here, she's just one of the toughest ladies I know. She had an accident this year, and that's some of the dangers. And I really feel like, it's hard sometimes. We ride in rain, we ride in, really bad weather sometimes.
Yeah.
And but I think that we always say this is our way of giving back and really honoring these families, because what they're going through is horrible, and it's any parent's worst nightmare to have your child or go missing, or it's just unimaginable pain what these families go through.
Because there's not a manual that says this is what you do. So everybody's trying to help create something that you hope you never ever have to use, because you don't want any family to have to go through it. And I know I've talked to several different advocates, and all of you have your own way of advocating, which is great, and it's all needed. That's the wonderful thing. You have the people that have, the boots on the ground that are out there doing the searches. Like I've talked with Lissa Yellowbird Chase. I've talked with Siska Tobacco. Cola Ship and Tower. She's trying to do more preventive before we get to that point. You guys are there helping, trying to help the families in the situation. What can we do to offer to help? And it's all needed. It's like this beautiful blend of everybody coming together and offering what you can to help these families get through this. And I think that's something we all have to acknowledge and say, whatever your advocacy is, you can help and be part. And that's what we're trying to build with our community here, is what can we do to help? We can tell the stories, we can share, we can also, we've done email campaigns. Like I told you, Cisco, Siska, Cisco,
Siska.
oh, Siska. Siska is going to like knock me in the head for some reason. I can never get her name right. I feel so terrible. But she was telling me, about that family that I told you about, that they were told they couldn't report their loved one for 72 hours by a police officer at Rapid City, South Dakota. So it was like, okay, group, here's a sample email. Here's some email addresses. Let's go. And the assistant sheriff emailed me back. He goes, "What is the name of the family?" I said, "I don't feel comfortable giving that to you. You know, I'm working with an advocate in the area." Well, he knew who Siska was, so he emailed her right away. And so, and then he actually sent me their rules and procedures. I have over 900 and some pages of Rapid City Police rules and procedures. But so that's something that, because physically I can't get out and do boots on the ground anymore these days, but I do what I can. So if we all do it and we all share, we can get some things done, because we have to stop this. These children.
Yeah, and really,
They don't deserve it.
I tell the family here, I had an aunt recently reach out to me just last week, and her niece had been missing for probably about 3 weeks. She had been missing, and they hadn't heard from her. And she said they did contact the police, and they just told her, we put a bolo out for her. And I'm like, no, go back to them and be a Karen. Go back to them and be persistent and just say, you know what? I need you to file this missing persons report. This is the last date that we heard from her, and we have nothing. You haven't, we haven't heard from her. And I said, just be persistent, push them. And they did. They went back and they filed that missing persons report. And thankfully, they did find her the very next day. She was on another reservation, and the police there did find her.
Oh.
And that was after they got that missing persons report filed. And that's the only reason why they found her that next day.
Yeah. Well, and like
Because that pushes them further.
yeah, and like I like to tell our community is sometimes someone may leave voluntarily, and then it turns into a situation where it's no longer voluntary. So they might go out to meet someone thinking it's just a date or, I'm meeting someone. And then all of a sudden it does turn into a human trafficking or just someone not letting someone else go. So you can't always let the police judge it by, well, they walked out the door. Yes, but they would have come back. They would communicate. This was our way of communicating. They got in touch with us. And so, like you said, you have to speak boldly for those and say, that's not our loved one. Don't put them in a box and say all people are like this, because we're not. We're all different. We all have ways of communicating.
What?
Yeah, and I was like, speak to a supervisor is what I tell them. If they're not going to take that missing person report, speak to a supervisor, and just keep on being persistent.
We find this an issue more often than not. One of our chat people brought out that I don't understand why they won't file reports timely. Do you guys have any understanding or any ideas as to why it takes them that long? 3 weeks is a long time,
Well, they just filed a bolo for her. That's just like be on the lookout.
Right,
So
right.
if we run by, then we'll let you know. But no, I don't.
In
I
other
don't
words,
see why
I don't want to do a report that takes up my time. I'll just slip this out there and we'll see what happens. It's basically what he was telling them.
Yeah, and families know their loved ones the best. If they know that they should have heard from them, it's been over 3 weeks, and now they're at a point where like, I really feel like they might be in danger because we have not heard from her.
Yeah. Well, and maybe that's something with the young ones when you have the young ones with you is like Cola talked about setting up lines of communication, making sure that your family knows. If you're going out the door, just say, hey, I'm going here. It's not that big of a deal. It's easier than having your family weeks later trying to figure out where you went. Because I even talked to her about, she says you put all these passwords in an envelope and you seal it and you give it to someone in your family that you trust, not your nosy grandma, maybe that might just open it for the kicks, or maybe you trust grandma the best. And you just say, in case of an emergency, you open this and you can get into my devices, something that simple, and also in her paperwork, if you go on her website, her and I'm saying it all wrong, but anyway, one of the things was, is there someone we should look for? Is there someone that you have met or had recent contact with that had worried you somewhat? So it gives you a starting point as a family. Have you had a run-in with someone? That kind of, who would we be looking for? So it also makes the family think as you're filling out your own paperwork. Okay, well, and it's something that every family member maybe needs to start doing is that, okay, this is what we have and everybody knows and we're not
on
trying
a fairly consistent basis too. So because
Yeah.
I mean, you can meet someone or have a situation come up where it should be in that documentation, but it isn't because you haven't looked at that documentation in 2 or 3 months, you know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, and just like Lorna talked about, m- having your child's picture taken, having their fingerprints,
Mhm.
their DNA, at least once a year,
Mm-hmm.
or every 6 months if they're little, the finger or the picture should be taken. Most everybody has a cell phone nowadays because
Mhm.
sadly we see some of the flyers come out and they don't have a good picture. So get a good
Mhm.
picture. Know if there's tattoos. Where is the tattoo located? Because if you say back tattoo, what's it of? Because sadly,
Mhm.
if it's a situation where they are no longer with us, that might be an identifying mark, to at least bring them home to their family.
Mhm. Mhm.
I
Yeah.
think I think too, one of the issues we have is that a lot of the states don't demand or don't require them to be put in NamUs, you know.
Mhm.
And NamUs and actually as a family member, you can put them in NamUs. They will ask you for a police report number, so you've gotta have that, and you gotta tell because they're gonna call the police department. So tell them, I'm filling this out." I learned that from John
Mhm.
Lorden of Lorden Arts, and
Mhm.
Yeah, and you can even go in there, if they do put that person into NamUs, and if they don't have the correct information, you can go in there and update that information to make it so that it is correct.
yeah, and I think that's really important that that information
Mhm.
gets corrected so that people know who and what they're looking for.
Yeah, LaDonna makes a
Right.
good point too here, that to spread the word and teach your kids how to advocate, not
Yeah.
that they just
Mhm.
need to get involved or say, well, they
Mhm.
probably need to be taught.
Well, like the 3 young ones
Mhm.
they had leading the ride,
Yeah, yeah,
so you
Mhm.
guys were teaching them,
Yeah.
"Hey, go
yeah,
for it." And I think that's awesome,
Mhm.
giving
yep,
And
them.
also just teaching them, to be active in their own communities, and
Mhm.
to be, a voice in their communities you know, for families, for, missing people. And I just, yeah, these three youth that we had riding with us were just amazing. And they were just like little sponges, they just wanted to be part of everything. And it was just really, really amazing to have them there.
Fowler has put out your a website, and everybody on their website they have an Etsy store, and the proceeds will go to helping their work. You can buy a tank top, a t-shirt, long sleeve shirt if you're in an area that needs wintertime. Uh, they have some really bandanas, some stickers, some different items. Please go purchase something, help them
Mhm.
out, so that they can help others, because I think that's, really important right now is if we all pitch in just a little bit, do what you can, um, to assist, because maybe you can't be boots on the ground, but maybe you can go buy a t-shirt. Um,
Mhm.
okay, Fowler, she says, bye bye paycheck. Thanks, Z.
yeah.
Well, I didn't say you had to buy the store, darling.
And,
But
we'll be at the Black
um,
Hills Powwow this
so
weekend here in City, South Dakota. If anybody wants to stop in and buy a t-shirt or bandana, we'll be there.
Mhm.
And we'll also have, we have our Levy's our jingle dress carrier, so we'll have our jingle dress there, and then we also have another dress that we're hoping to have people come and pin names of their missing or murdered loved one onto this dress. And whenever we did the exhibition down in Austin, we also did a red dress exhibition at the George Washington Museum down there, and it was really beautiful. We had the is it the film for Killers of the Flower Moon?
oh
They let
yes.
us borrow their dress to be part of that exhibition, and
Oh,
now that exhibition has become part of a moving exhibition. So it's been traveling the United States, and we had Agnes Woodward had donated a dress, for us to use during that exhibition, for that event. And so the dress that we're going to have, with us this weekend at the powwow families can come and they can put their loved one's name on that, and that's going to become part of that traveling exhibition.
That's beautiful. And I
Mhm.
encourage everyone in the chat, if you have not seen a powwow with the jingle dresses, it is the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. Please go on YouTube and look at some of the powwow footage that they have filmed because it's beautiful to watch the dances. I love seeing the little ones
Yeah,
doing their
that
native
is
dances.
that is really really sweet
It
seeing the young ones
it
trying
warms
to.
your heart.
Yep.
It truly does. Um, and we can't forget history, people. Remember that. If we forget it, we repeat it. And we're all part of the human family. You cut any one of us, guess what? We all bleed red. So
Mhm.
we have to take care of each other. And that means everybody. Everybody has to take care of each other. I want to just take a few moments, if you don't mind, and talk about some missing people. Remember these faces when you're out in public, you guys. All stores, if you're on any kind of public transit, anywhere, stay alert. Human trafficking and missing persons cases happen everywhere. It could be someone's family member. Some disappear voluntarily and they end up in a dangerous situation and they can't come home. Others never had the choice to come home. They were taken. If you recognize someone from today's case or you witness something that you think is suspicious, contact the authorities immediately. Don't assume someone else is going to call. Your vigilance can save a life. Now, if you're nervous about calling the police, we have an email. It's called tips, the number 4, Trial Junkies United at gmail.com. I'll call the cops for you. I don't care. I've called a few. We'll pass along this information about missing persons or people in danger. Our first person is Jasmine Shalene Cardinal. She's 23. Whoops, that's the girls on their bikes. There we go.
Yeah,
There's
there.
Jasmine. She went missing on September 20th, 2025. Simon Lake, Alberta, Canada. She's from the First Nations. She has brown hair, brown eyes, 5'8" and 150 pounds. She has ties to Little Buffalo. If you have any information, contact the Peace Regional RCMP at 780-624-6677 or call your local 911. The next one, now this little girl is from Katy, Texas in the Houston area. This is Jaslyn Lopez. She's 14. She went missing on September 27th. We really don't have information on her. Harris County Sheriff's Department, 713-221-6000. Um, call the National Children's 1-800-843-5678. She has 2 numbers here for the National Children's Exploited, which is 206-3026, or the National Children in Crisis, M as in Michael, 7186-22-779, or call 911, you guys. This lovely young lady is Olivia Perry. She's 17. She went missing September 14th from Pennington County, Rapid City, South Dakota. She has green eyes and brown hair. She's 4'10", just a tiny little thing, 112 pounds. She has a strawberry birthmark on her forehead located between her eyes. If you have any information, call 605-394-4131 and reach out as soon as possible. This is Wesley Dixon Jones, 71. He's missing from since October 5th. He's from the Umatilla Tribe Reservation in Oregon. I knew I was going to butcher that. I tried so hard. Okay, Umatilla Tribes. It's a Confederate tribe. This is where Cola Shipping Tower's out there. And he has brown eyes, black, long hair. He's 5'8", 140 pounds. Um, remember, Wesley is 71. He's an older man that needs to be found. He was last seen wearing a black and red Tiger Scott jacket, black shirt, black sweatpants, boots. His vehicle was at home with a flat tire. The family thought he had gone fishing, but they don't know where. He was last seen October 5th in the early afternoon. Please contact the tribal police at 541-278-0550 or 911. They have been searching along the river. and also around one of his former homes. Please, he needs to be found. But in closing, Lorna and Luvy, thank you so much for the incredible work you do. Sharing your stories with us, um, seeing where we can find our involvement to help in any way. And you're living proof that change doesn't wait for permission. It rides out on two wheels with courage, purpose, and an unbreakable sisterhood. So, to our listeners, this is more than just a movement. This is about human lives, about justice, about refusing to let another Indigenous man, woman, or child disappear into silence. If today's episode has moved you, don't just feel it. I want you to take action. Visit their website, buy some merch, attend an event, share their message on your social media. Every action matters. Lovey, do you have any last words you'd like to say to everybody? Or
I
Lorna?
think I think I would just like to say that each of these sister writers and also our brother writers, there's some brothers that have joined us, so it's just not all female, but the men are also there supporting us while they're writing in the back as we lead, and that each and every one of our sister writers and our brother writers, it means something to them. They carry something and they have a purpose and a reason why they do what they do. And I can only speak on my behalf, so it's like, just like Lorna mentioned, I was in an accident, and well, I think it was in June, and but my sister asked me, she says, so what are you going to do now? I said, I'm getting my bike fixed, and I'm going to continue to do what I do because I'm doing it from the heart. There's things that come in the way, that there's might be a mountain in front of us, but it means so much to me. And that the reason why is, right now I'm writing for my son. My son is my angel, and that I will continue to do what I do because my people need me. Our people need us. Individuals that are hurting, I understand them. We stand side by side with them. And like I said, sometimes all it needs is maybe a shoulder for them to lean on, or, just to hear their stories out. And so with that, I believe it was like 4 to 5 weeks after I had my accident, I was ready to get back on. I wasn't going to miss that ride to Sturgis. And my doctor thought I was crazy. And I explained to her, this is the purpose. This is the reason. And I got to do this. And finally she told me, she goes, all right, as long as you get off your meds and you're not on your pain medication, you can go ahead. It'll be up to you. And so I was able to join my sisters in Seattle to ride out to Sturgis. And it was a healing for me from inside out, and also a healing journey that, the names that I carry for each and every one of them. And so again, each and every one of these writers, they have a reason why they do what they do. And taking time away from their families, taking time away from their personal job that they do, and the expense, we pay all out of our own pockets to do what we do. And so we will continue to take a stand. We will continue to support our families and our communities. So now I always say, now you heard, now you know. You can never say you never knew. Now you know. So
Right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Lovey, and we wish you more healing,
Mm-hmm.
physically and spiritually. Um, Lorna, any last words for you, dear?
No, I think she said it all. I really, I this work is hard. It's very hard
Yeah.
work. And I think a lot of times we've had moments of wanting to give up. But we keep on pushing because this is something that we're very passionate about and something that we really care about. Because these are our communities. We're mothers here as well.
Mm-hmm.
And some of us are, some of us are grandmothers.
Yes.
Not yet, but you know,
That was a
and
jab.
so,
Mhm.
no. And you know, and I love these women. You know, they're amazing, and I'm really glad that I get to ride beside them, you know, and do this work, because sometimes, you know, it is very hard, and to have such strong women to help lift you up is amazing, you know, because in doing this work, we have to be able to lift each other up, and we have to be able to support each other, because we're in this together,
Mhm.
you know, and we're, you know, stronger when we're working together and we're supporting each other.
Yes.
And that goes across through all of the grassroots organizations. We have to work together,
Mhm.
and, you know, we have to also, you know, take care of each other.
Mhm.
And
And
our
then,
Go
yeah,
ahead, Luvy.
you know, I was going to say that also, you know, as a Eagle staff carrier and also carrying the jingle dress, you know, they travel with me on my bike, and the humbleness it gives me, the prayers that I carry, the prayers that, you know, we sent out. And several times Eagles was asked to lead a ride, you know, we're there with humbleness and gratitude and very thankful. And that the eagle and the jingle dress representing all the missing and murdered indigenous relatives, people, and women. So with that, you know, it's an honor to be asked to be the carriers of these instruments, and I do it with humbleness.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Good.
Um, I want to tell you it's been an honor and a privilege to speak with you guys. If there's any way that we as a community or our channel can help you guys, if there's a family that wants their story out, wants to come on, or if another member of your organization, you guys are welcome anytime if you want to share anything. We're here to support you guys and do what we can. Um, and it really, trust me, everybody, it was a privilege. And I thank you again. So, everyone, remember what I always tell you, every killer depends on your silence. Don't give it to them. If you know something, you speak up. It's never a mannequin.
Mhm.
Remember, someone knows something. Somebody always does. And
Yeah.
what is our motto here or our hashtag? It's silence is betrayal. So if
Mhm.
you keep silent, you're betraying people. And I want you to remember that. So until next time, you guys, I want you to stay informed. I want you to stay compassionate. You keep seeking the truth, keep demanding justice. Never stop speaking up. This is Z and Doc with Trial Junkies United. Say goodnight, Doc.
Good night, Doc.
We don't just talk about justice, we amplify the voices that need to be heard. Keep listening, keep learning. Share these stories, you guys. Get it out on social media. We love you all, and we'll see you Sunday for our Sunday edition. It's part 2 of Professor Andrew McLeod, talking some more about some of the terrible things that have happened in human trafficking in different situations. So, good night, everybody, and
Mhm.
ciao. We love you.
Hey, round down this highway, engines roaring like indigenous women, rising drums, allies, daughters, sons. Not waiting for the experts, not waiting for permission. We're figuring it out together, riding for our mission. Our bikes are more than metal, more than wheels and chrome. They carry all our voices and bring sisters home. For everyone missing, for every stolen name, we ride to break the silence and end the shame. We are the medicine, we ride thunder, rolling with pride. For every woman finding her voice and every survivor. breaking the silence, ending violence, healing through our resilience. We're not just a road beneath our wheels, we're the medicine that heals. We're not politicians or experts paid to speak on behalf of others. We're just women on motorcycles who refuse to live in fear, grounded in grassroots, culturally driven, riding for the living and remembering the dead. From Alaska to Hawaii, across these native lands, we gather our strength and stand firm. MMIW, our awareness is our battle cry for our missing relatives. We ride and unify. We are the medicine. We ride thunder, rolling with pride for every woman, finding a voice for every survivor, making a choice, breaking the silence, ending violence, healing through our resilience. We're not just a road beneath our wheels, we're the medicine that heals. Turning pain into power, trauma into truth, creating space for healing, honoring our youth. The medicine wheel guides us, restoring balance, east, west, north, and south. We're so much more cathartic and powerful, tears and strength combined. Years of suppressed emotions, but now we will not hide the visual awareness. So many lives we see, touched by this injustice. Our right to be free. We are the medicine. We'll ride thunder, rolling with pride for every woman, finding a voice for every survivor, making a choice, breaking silence, ending violence, healing through our resilience. Not just the road beneath our wheels, we're the medicine that heals. Every ride, forever we ride for what is right. Empowerment and freedom, bringing darkness into light. We're a sisterhood united, we're a movement, we're a force. Medicine we ride, we're changing the course. We are stronger when we lift each other. Every time we help a family member, we keep the circle strong. Let's keep standing together, supporting one another and helping where we can. That's how healing begins. We ride, we heal, we remember, we ride for every sister missing, for every family's tears. We're not just riding motorcycles, we're riding through the years, breaking chains of violence, building hope again. Medicine we ride. This is what we do.